Good morning. Hang on. The sound coming through. It should be okay. Hopefully it's not too loud. And hopefully there's no echo. Because I'm in the middle of cracking the shits. Because apparently, like I was listening to it just before it started. There's workmen out in the street. Is that me? Is that feedback? No, there's fucking noise and shit outside. I don't know if you can hear that. There's drums. All day, every day. I'm about to crack the shits, and then I realized I was trying to get the sound sorted, and I think there's an echo. Tell me if there is. Yeah, because some dumb cunt decided to start playing drums as soon as I started streaming. Anyway, let me just check to see. Tell me if there's an echo, because I'm not going to continue if there is, and then I'll just reschedule. But I'm in the middle of having a bit of a tantrum because I haven't even had coffee yet, because I ended up spending an hour and a half trying to fix the fucking sound. So anyway, hopefully it's okay. So that's really distracting. So I think I want to narrow my focus a little bit, and I think I want to narrow my focus more around the tech and more around like how disinformation spreads and that sort of stuff. Did you hear me when I asked if you could make me a coffee? Thank you. Okay, sorry, thank you. Fucking drummer boy's going off. Anyway, it's great. Suburbia's great. I love it. It's fabulous. I also love wrangling with tech, two of my favourite things. Anyway, it's all right. We'll get there. So I just haven't had coffee yet. So Paul's here and I've asked him to make me a coffee, and then when I've had coffee, I'll be better. Yeah, I want to narrow my focus a bit and talk more about, I think, some of the things that I've sort of thought about while streaming, and when I've watched them back, I've noticed that people seem to be more interested. Like, theory's boring. I'm sick of it. And also, like, I think it's important that I focus in the area that I want to focus on, not on the area that others do, but also try to find sort of some common ground so that it's actually, interesting. And I think that the area that I can focus most of my attention and energy is not so much on the sort of weeds of the culture wars and the day-to-day political shit, because, people are always fighting. The people are always going to fight on the internet. The internet is a fight machine. Like, that's what people do. But what I want to do is sort of maybe do a little bit of stuff around just exposing how some of this works, because I think that there's a lot of gaps which people don't know, that, how to do a campaign, how campaigns work. The things that I find boring and automatic and like I don't even think about doing, they're the kinds of things that I think people don't even know. I had an interaction the other day where someone was they didn't even understand how the universities and fandoms could interact with each other. They just don't even understand that history, that story, how, I think we've got a group of pretty smart people here who are used to sort of been on the journey along the way. But one thing I've noticed, especially as I sort of branch out, is that people are missing sort of some of the basics around, unless you work in internet marketing. And even if you do work in marketing, you might not be aware of the political implications of what's going on. And if you work in politics, you might not understand how influencer marketing and MLM, televangelism, a lot of advertising theory and marketing theory and the psychology of marketing has been applied in politics, and how this sort of weird Frankenstein's monster that is the internet, but also the history of the internet when it comes to, if there's something nice that you build, there's going to be people that fuck it. And that's sort of, rule number one of the internet, that if you make something, there's going to be so many resources, so much money, so much stuff is, you might hear the buzzword cybersecurity, white hat hacking, penetration testing in the cleavage. But you might hear these sorts of terms. You might not know the basics of, something as simple as if you create some sort of way to make a buck online, there's going to be people who abuse it. There's going to be fuckwits. I've spent my whole career, trying to dodge and compete with people who have fewer scruples than me. And it's why I gave up in the end. So I think maybe I can narrow my focus a little bit more on more of the digital stuff. I know that I haven't, that's what I've been talking about anyway, but I think I've kind of confused people about what I talk about and what my focus is, because these things do intersect, and they do, there is a political impact, but it's not my focus. My focus is how this happens online, how discourse online ends up offline, the history of the internet, some of the stuff, digital advocacy, rights, digital policy, that sort of stuff, ethical design. That's what I started. The reason why I started this was because I was watching groups and tribes and all of those things just sort of go off kilter. I watched people starting to, show addiction and show those things. Also my own, personal journey and personal identity of living out loud on the internet and wanting to talk about that, because it's quite a big deal. I think people don't realize, especially with not so much Gen Z, because Gen Z are native, but I mean, millennials are fucking scrambled in the fucking head. But, Gen X was one of those generations where, some of us were early adopters and some of us weren't. And there's a real divide there. And as someone who just, like I said, like I've written many times, is that I'm a crash test dummy, and I go in and I've always tested, and I go in and I try it and I test and I try and I test and I adapt, and then I report back. And the thing that I've left off is the reporting back part and telling people what the lessons are from sort of this crazy stuff. So that's where I'd like to get my focus a little bit more. And I know that that's been it anyway. It's funny how you, I haven't looked at the about on my YouTube channel, and it's like, it's exactly what it started as. It's exactly where I want to be. I started with that intention, and hopefully, now that I'm a little bit, better, cracking the shits because of a drummer, very professional. Well, that's all right. That's live TV. But, but now that I feel a little more comfortable talking about things, I think it's just time to knuckle down and start to talk about more of this stuff in a bit more detail, because there's a lot of stuff that I've covered in the last 2 years where I've skimmed over, where I've introduced things and sort of abandoned it, tried different things. I wasn't sure if people were interested, but one thing I have had feedback on is that people like hearing about the tech side and how algorithms work, and how, the audiences are radicalized, how audience capture and how they radicalize. It's that two-way street. I had feedback, just something simple that I thought was obvious, which was that, it's a two-way, it's a feedback loop between creator and audience. The idea that you can just buy Twitter followers, like people don't know these things. If you've got $50,000, you can basically just astroturf an entire fucking campaign for nothing. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, and just show you a little bit of a teaser on, why, because I know where these things came from. I've done marketing, online marketing campaigns, hearts and minds, creative, all of that stuff from the beginning. And this template is now being applied to politics, and I don't know whether that's actually a very good idea, because I think that there's no consent there. There needs to be consent. And that's where, when I say, large parts of this are astroturfed, I'm not joking. I'm actually saying there's dedicated firms, and it's not just about troll farms. And I think that's really disingenuous, I think. And that's why, I saw there was this story, and we'll lead in from that story, because what's been frustrating me with a lot of this culture wars stuff is that everyone leaves out the bit that is inconvenient for them. And so everything that you see, and this is one of the benefits of sort of watching wide amounts of content, even shit you disagree with, I fucking disagree with movies too. And I disagree with House's diagnostic process. I still watch it. I don't understand how people fucking don't watch things. They have to agree with everything. It's like, since when? Since when was someone doing something you don't like, fodder for fucking it not existing? When did that become a thing? Like I said, I don't agree with Dr. House's fucking ethics. I still watch it because it's interesting and it's funny and there's other things to it other than the fact that I agree with it. It's like, fucking hell, people. Same thing with politics. And when you see that politics has become entertainment and they're one and the same, things get a little bit, you get a little more perspective, okay? When you see that there's a large portion of people, especially on, this culture war stuff, who are in it for the clicks, they're in it for the money, they're in it for the fame. It's very odd that a lot of this stuff is like comedians and actors and people who couldn't quite get the stage time they want. And again, this is no one in particular. This is just a trend that you notice. This is the problem when you criticize systems, is that people think that you're fucking having a go at them. I'm not. It's all in this. It's just a trend, which is that you look and you go, oh, that person has a certain psychological profile where they want to, be on stage. Look, just fucking snapped my tripod. Fucking idiot. It's great. I need coffee badly. Anyway, so, but this is something that, if you're watching and the chat is working for you, can you just let me know if there's an echo, because I can't listen, but anyway, whatever. Who gives a fuck? No one watches anyway. No, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of these things. I think I've skipped steps, and honestly, I think I could probably just do courses in that shit. I'm going to say what my grandmother used to say. You could put a rope in this. I need a rope. Not a rape. Not a rape. Anyway. So, oh, good. Okay. Thanks, Shannon. Hello. Long time no see. So, thank you for being patient and watching and like all this stuff. It's like, you always start prepared and then this shit happens. It's like drums, fucking drums going ding, 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 like constantly. So it's very distracting. But I thought that I think, who was it? I read a book. I think it was Ben Folds' book actually, where he said to not assume or presume what people want. Like, yes, you can ask and you can test and all that stuff, but as when you're doing like creative work or content or anything, I hate the word content, but I'll do something on that too. Which is, there's a difference between content and fucking, research. But there's people who are in this. That's right. That's what I was saying. So there's a large group of people in this stuff who are just content creators. Okay. They say vastly different things offline than they do when they're, on YouTube or on Twitter. They're playing a character. I have done that my whole life. I can spot personas, right? They're playing a role, much like TV. And that's why you need to watch this stuff as entertainment, not as news, not as anything that's it's based on truth, much like a series or a stand-up or a movie or even a documentary. Those rules apply, that you're still being manipulated, you're still being nudged, and there's a whole bunch of tactics and rhetorical devices and all those sorts of things, and all of those things that I think people forget. Also exist in the culture wars, also exist in these places, but also will be someone in I'm going to say troll farm, but the theme of this video is that they're pretty much one and the same. There isn't much difference in practice, okay, in actual practice, tactics, budget, effort, skill set, anything like that, from a troll farm to a PR. Or crisis PR, okay, or a political PR, or a campaigner. If you are good at your job and have no fucking soul or scruples, then in reality, there's very little difference in skill set between a troll farm, say, and a political campaign PR legit digital agency. Now I've talked about some of this stuff. I'm going to go. I think this needs to be a course, maybe. I'm not sure. I need to monetize somehow, but I also can't dilute my brand too much. It's already pretty fucking diluted and confusing. But that's okay. We'll soldier on. Now, little thing. I'm going to be on Bridget Fettis's podcast in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be cool. So I've got to get all this shit together quick because I need to have somewhere, for people to come. But she's awesome and, very open-minded and just fucking like everyone else, fed up and confused with everything that's happening. So it would be great to reach an audience of, people who are just sick of this shit too. So, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting because, obviously I don't agree with a large portion of the people that she interviews. But as a person, I think she's fantastic. So it's going to be really interesting and I'm shitting my pants. So it's going to be fucking, we'll see how we go. But yeah, making sure I'm prepared. So that's why I'm, really nailing down this stuff because I fucked around for too long. So I got to get this stuff like done and professional and all that stuff. So basically, look, this thing where the internet's not real life, or TV is different to digital, or people are different to digital. The internet, your internet friends aren't real friends. Those principles, okay, those are misconceptions, okay? They were maybe true, well, definitely not true in post 2020, okay? Because what we've seen is largely people are just moving online. And what's been funny, we're still, I know I'll still be funny and still, make fucking stupid jokes. This isn't all serious. I want it to be interesting. But what's happened here is that, in 2020, it's been interesting to see those that don't engage with social media a lot, don't use the internet a lot. They've used the internet as a tool and they've been mostly sort of offline. Having that cohort of people who aren't usually, massive online people move online as a group, okay, and now become dependent on that for every interaction. That's been an interesting thing to observe as well, because I'm not sure those people are okay. Because I think that what's happened is, I think people like me, we can spot bullshit. We can spot this shit. We can spot a troll. We can spot flame wars. These guys hang out in coffee shops talking to real people. They've got lives. I have no life. I know what a fucking fellow no-lifer. Okay? So, there's people who are like, well, I've got to get on Twitter to see what's happening and follow the COVID news. I'm going to get all this stuff. I want to follow all of this news because people who wouldn't ordinarily have that kind of time are using Zoom. They're navigating technology. They're learning how to screen share. They're fucking having to live stream. They're having to do all these meetings digitally. Then that flows on to them being in social media, because if you're stuck in a fucking Zoom call, you don't want to be there. So you're going to be opening tabs. So you're going to be spending more time on Facebook and Twitter and those sorts of things. And you're also going to be sort of showing, political support and all that stuff. So, remember, when you're in the business community like I've been, there's people that are just, they're people who are always working the room. They're always networking. They're always, doing stuff. And that's been translated online. And so there's going to be people who aren't great at this. I've been training in this. I am still amazed that in, as early, as late, as recent is the word I was looking for, as recent as 2019, I was still trying to convince some people that they needed social media strategy, that they needed governance, that they needed all of these things in place, how to design and put together the right team. Like, one thing that I was good at was actually getting the right mix of people to create a really good team for, not a lot of, not underpaying the workers, but, FTE wise, fewer FTE, and optimizing that team. And so, finding that right mix of skills, because, a lot of people want marketing, but they don't understand that, some of them are just unique skill sets that don't fit together. I'm a unicorn in the industry, but I'm still not, like, in terms of that bell curve on those edges, or when it comes to like art, design, drawing, that sort of stuff, and hardcore engineering. Like, I can design, okay, but I'm not an artist creative, okay? I don't know my color theory. I'm like a designer, but and I'm also not a software engineer, but I can code, so it's like that bell curve, but I'm also very rare. Most people sit sort of in those thin slices skill wise, like you're either quite creative or can code. They're not really, expecting a coder to design and a designer to code. You're going to have to give some stuff up there. I just happen to be a fucking unicorn, and there's only about, there's not many of me. I'm hard, whatever. So, and that, helping people manage their expectations. So, that's another thing that, people have been forced online. They wouldn't even know how to, most of them barely had their marketing in order. They didn't have, again, working in that sort of, it's called digital transformation space, where, making sure that all of your IT aligns with your marketing and all your processes are in place, they weren't there yet. They weren't even close. And I mean, the one saving grace, when I talk about all this scary data shit that I'm going to talk about with politics, which is that the bad guys are ahead of the good guys for a start. But also the one saving grace that we've got with this data is that, they don't have that shit together, so they can't use it. They don't know how to use it. So that's the upside. They have it, they just don't know how to use it. And that's sort of the saving grace with all of this. But that's going to change. Okay, so as we get better and better and better at this stuff, it's going to be easier and easier to start. If you look at some of these, that's called business intelligence, like, business intelligence tools, and, what Google can do with data at the enterprise level. Okay. If you look at things like Salesforce CRM, or you look at, I've talked about brand yourself. We'll go back to that too. I was having a conversation with somebody about, China and their social score. And I actually laughed and I said, if you think you don't already have one, then you're being naive. And they're like, oh, no, we don't. I mean, you do. And I'm going to show you how you have a social score. So, you do. But also in marketing, there's one thing that you also need to understand that is, it's common practice, unethical practice. I don't do it, but I know that they do, which is the buying and selling of lead generation lists. If you find yourself suddenly on let's say you buy something, right? This is the traditional definition of audience capture, by the way. So if you're a marketer, let's say you run multiple different brands, like digitally, you've got like Coca-Cola, and it's probably better for, let's use, that's a bad idea because the people are, let me think. Okay, let's say you're the marketing manager for a retailer. Okay, let's say that you're a retailer that sells a few different products. Okay, this is what Amazon have done. Lookalike audiences, recommendations, Netflix. If you like this, you probably like this. If you like this, you probably like this. That, when you talk about audience capture, what audience capture is that you use it's called lead magnet is probably, or top of funnel is what it's going to be. I can talk about some of this stuff in detail. I think I'm going to have this as part of a series of courses, I think. Because I think a crash course in how this stuff works is actually kind of inoculating from when you know you're being manipulated and you know how this stuff works, you're more likely to not fall for it. Like people who, there's two types of people, okay? If you fall for a cult, there's a very good chance you'll just jump into another cult. Like there's a lot of people who start out in a cult and then jump into sort of born again Christianity, or former fucking evangelical Christians will jump into another religion. Like that's a thing, because that's something where some people just need that and they don't look within to see why they're vulnerable. Or, there's a strong overlap between evangelical Christians and MLM, for example, like Amway. That's why they've got that same, but that's also with televangelism and how and MLM and all of this stuff, how out of the United States, where there's a system and a structure that supports grifting from the ground up. And it's not a criticism. Like America's hustle is impressive. Like hustle culture, it's impressive, but it's got there's unintended consequences attached to that. Robin DiAngelo is, Oprah's book club, Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz. That's that whole guru, it's like a version of televangelism, that telesales. selling. I mean, that's, if you're a consultant, the best thing you could do is crack the American market. If I write my book, you want to tailor it to the American market because there's so many of them. And, it might be a joke to say that you could. I actually joked on Twitter. I was like, I'm going to sell like Ziploc bags of Australian air and then have a day where everyone has to release it and tell them that it will fix global warming if I send them fresh air, and I'm going to sell it for like $15 a bag. And it is a joke, but it's not. It's that Jerry Springer principle, right? Remember, this might be some of the people who watch are younger than me, but he was asked how he finds his guests, and I think I've mentioned this before. And he said, well, you've got, what, 300 million people in the United States. 1% of that is 3 million people. That's a market of 3 million people. If you could, if that in terms of a market, that's why people are going so mad for the Chinese market. Numbers. Hang on, let me just autofocus on blurring. There we go. But it's just like, especially in Australia, like even if you're like a famous actor or like TV person or whatever, or a musician, it's very hard to make a living unless you can crack the Europe or America. So this phenomenon is, again, when you're talking about systems and structures and phenomena and it's not personal. There's nothing about, I love Americans, they fucking crack me up. Their hustle's brilliant and admirable. However, there's consequences to it. Like with capitalism, you can love it all you want, but it works a certain way. That's how it works. If you've got a certain personality type, you're going to fight it and fight it and fight it, but you are who you are. There's you can fight some of it. Some of it is environmental. Some of it is a choice, but some of it is just fucking hardwired because that's how fucking behavior works. Okay, a lot of it, I think you'd be surprised how little is actually, how much is predetermined. I make the joke that children are like plants. Although I'm a shit mum, so don't take that advice. But it's true. They have not changed since the day they came out. There's nothing you can do. I love watching these young fucking parents who think that they've got control. And they think that because they've got one amazing, good, smart kid, it's like, no, that was luck. It's not your parent. It's got nothing to do with parent. I'll tell you now, anybody who hasn't had kids yet or has little children, how your children come out has got fuck all to do with your parenting style. It's just, you have this one parenting style, okay, and you go and the kid turns out okay, and there's like there's this confirmation bias that happens there. But having had 3 children for different techniques, literally different everything, because they're all very different personalities, right? That they came out how they are. Like there's a big argument there. I'm not saying it all is. Obviously, it's not. Environment's a big part of it. Obviously, but the research, all of the evidence says that there's a large part of this stuff that's fixed. And it's the same. So when you extrapolate that to politics, because politics, economics, they're all about human nature and humans in the end. And so we're going to have this mix of humans. This mix of humans are going to float to the top. This mix of humans are going to be walked on. This mix of humans, socialists, are going to get murdered by the fucking bad guys. And there's going to be greedy people. There's going to be sociopaths. There's going to be psychopaths. And the system needs to be able to accommodate those failures and those risks. Okay? If you look at it purely psychologically, you can look at it from that angle. And it becomes less about ideology and what's fucking... It's like every ideology has failings. Every ideology has blind spot, just like every person does. That's why pluralism is the only answer, because it's the only thing that really, it's why compromise, consensus is the only way. You're never going to get all of what you want, So anyway, that's why with this whole gender thing, it's like, well, there's people that believe that. Once it's an established belief, what are you going to do? Tell them they can't. You can't do that. You're just going to have to compromise. Sorry, that's pluralism. So, but once you understand that we are human, okay, some of this is fixed. Bad guys are real. Bad guys exist, okay. Some of them are just, come out that way. Some of them are made. Some systems, I prefer to see this stuff more as, systems incentivize certain behaviors. In ourselves, I think I've talked about this before, where we've all got sort of light and dark in us. And, you know, if you're surrounded with a system that reinforces those sorts of things, then you're going to do what is reinforced to you. And that scales. This is what I'm trying to explain to people about politics and tribalism. It doesn't work. It's pointless and futile. But also understanding that humans have blind spots, and we all have blind spots, and there's gaps. And the problem with the culture wars, as I see it online, is that a lot of it is fake. A lot of it is PR. A lot of it is troll farms and bots and messaging and ads. And, you know, even if it doesn't declare that it's branded content, fucking is. Okay. Everyone is an ad. Remember the South Park episode? Go back, watch season 18 of South Park. They had it right. Leslie. Remember Leslie? That's what it is. But I think that what people... I underestimated this problem. I think I underestimated the media literacy, civics, and how these things interact with each other. I think I went in... Not to insult anybody, I'm just saying, like, in terms of like where my value is, because I don't want to sit there fucking talking about these stupid things. It's so pointless. But where my value lies is in that experience and explaining some of the tactics, and maybe that people might be a bit more savvy about it. Because what I'm seeing here is fucking people losing their heads. I'm really worried about it. People aren't okay. And no one seems to be willing to address it and face it head on. Okay. Now, Facebook did announce that they were ceasing facial recognition. Whether or not they will is, you know, remains to be seen. But, you know, it's a step forward. And you've got to give credit where credit's due. And also understand, when you understand the geopolitics of Facebook, that who wouldn't want to own and control that kind of audience base? Who doesn't want that? There's a lot of people who want that audience, because that audience can be manipulated and nudged and persuaded. And that's why I'm going to share my screen right now. I'm going to show you something from, this isn't about political parties. It's just, this is an agency who were working in the 2020 campaign for the Democrats. And I'll also show you the kinds of things where things like lists are for sale. Okay. And what you can do when you've got that list, this is why you're fucking confused, by the way. If you're going on and you're getting all this weird shit, okay, it's not that necessarily that they're spying on you, it's that you've been put on a lookalike audience for this stuff. Oh, audience capture, lookalike audience. So basically what it means is that you will, you would take an audience, okay, so you'll just build like leads, okay, so people will click on stuff, they'll take quizzes, they will do, you know, whatever, you're fucking around on the internet, okay, you put your email address in, you put your number in. This is why the cookie thing is, privacy is such an issue with these tracking cookies, is because now it's not necessarily opting in, okay, so when you sign up to this stuff, what it is it's creating this big database in the sky, in the cloud, based on all of your data, and you're not necessarily opting into that. But what's happening is that they're just matching up all of these things across the internet, okay? And they're assigning you, so, you know, like personality profile, behavioral profile, habits, likes, dislikes, the way you speak, your language patterns, you know, and also law enforcement will use that stuff, okay? Because they'll be able to tell if... One of the things that was interesting about Q was that, you know, they figured out that it was like more than one person based on the way that they wrote, you know, their language patterns and that sort of stuff. So these things are happening, okay? So that's happening. But for reassurance, I'll let you know that most people are incompetent, so it's not really happening yet, but it will. It'll get easier to use. Remember when it was hard to build a website, okay? Now it's not. Well, it is if you actually want to own it, but you know, generally speaking, remember when it was really tricky, you had to know how to code. Same thing, okay? You had to be able to know how to do retouching, or you know, those things are just getting really, really easy. The barrier to entry is getting lower and lower for a lot of very sophisticated tools, including deepfakes and including you know, AI generated faces and identities and that sort of stuff. So yeah, so there's these agencies, okay? I'll show you. Now, I've talked about these before, but this is what I'm trying to, I'll show you, actually, I'll show you the article first, the news part. I'll show you the news part. Screen share. Where are we? So, Facebook says it removed troll farm run by Nicaraguan government. Okay. So, Facebook said on Monday that last month it removed a troll farm. Okay. This is where the slippery shit comes in. With Facebook and Instagram accounts, which it was said was run by the Nicaraguan government and the country's ruling party, the Sandinista National Liberation Front. Now, I don't know what's going on there. There's lots of different takes on it, but it turns out that there were some false positives there, and this was used to. These guys are a socialist movement who are trying to they're having a revolution. I haven't followed the details. Just move on. They're a political organisation that are trying. There's conflict. Okay. Now, what's happened is that Facebook have taken a side. Okay. Now, apparently, this Sandinista is in opposition to the US-planted dictator. Usual fucking shit. Venezuela shit. Okay. Same shit, different fucking country. But basically what happened was Facebook have then gone and said that social media companies said the troll farm, a coordinated effort to manipulate public discourse using fake accounts. See how they narrowly define this thing, okay? Was intended to amplify pro-government and anti-opposition content. So I'm not clear on what's what. I probably misspoken here, but I'm just showing you. This is this is what's reported in the news. And I'm just the key theme here is that there's always some truth and there's always a big part left out. Okay. In anything you're doing, go, well, what's the bit of truth here? And what's left out? Where's the rest of it? Okay. So what they've done is clearly narrowly defined troll farm, first off. Okay. Which is correct on a technicality. Okay. I think it's broader than that. Because troll farms are basically business as usual for most agencies. Okay, it's astroturfing, troll farms, or marketing, depending. It's just framing, and you know who's great at framing? Fucking US politicians, reframing things like that. So it said that it had been active on its platform since 2018 and was primarily operated by staff of Telcor. Right. Nicaragua's telecoms watchdog, working from the Postal Service headquarters in capital Managua. I assume that's how you say it. I'm not very good at those things. But this is sort of by the by, because what I want to do is show you this. So this is a digital agency. And I've talked about them before. These are the guys who created that Digital Organizers Handbook, which we will revisit again. Acronym. They call themselves another acronym, which, given their links to all of those front groups, it's so dodgy. But these guys are a legitimate digital agency working on behalf of the Democrats. They did the app for the Democratic fucking primaries. Remember how I think Ohio, where it fucked up? These guys were part of it. These guys, Bloomberg and all those agencies that Bloomberg was doing, they all do this, right? But I'm going to show you something. What's the difference between this and a troll farm? You ask. Okay. So, this cycle, hundreds of millions of dollars will be spent on advertising programs to persuade and mobilize voters. Okay. Watch the wank words. There's one thing that's really a good tell that something is shady is that it doesn't use it uses euphemisms and corporate shit. Okay. But when you have training and you understand what they're saying, you know what they're doing. Okay. And that's my job, is to show you what they're doing. To mobilize voters to turn out in the presidential election. Through focus groups and traditional polling methods, the campaigns, super PACs, and outside issue advocacy groups on both sides of the aisle will invest precious time and resources into answering the question, which messages move the needle and actually persuade voters. So, in a troll farm, when you're called a troll farm, you're doing platform manipulation to try and get people. Hang on. But if you're a digital agency on the good guys' side, you're nudging the needle. You're not manipulating people. This is why I quit, by the way. You're not manipulating people. You're nudging the needle. Different. Different things. Completely different things. Recognizing that new investments in digital advertising require new methods of measurement, our team has spent months creating a powerful new methodology. That's a word you'll hear, methodology. Okay, to answer that question, it's not a methodology. It's the same tactics as any fucking marketing funnel. It's a radicalization funnel. It's not a methodology. It's not proprietary methodology. It's a methodology that I've been teaching since 1995. Well, obviously not with social media, but it's this methodology has been a methodology since 2007, 2008. It's not fucking new. So, and more importantly, it shows our program is working. The framework called Barometer. So this is that American thing again. Let's take something everybody does and put our own fucking words on it and name it, make it a fucking patent, change it slightly, rename it, and then call our competitor a troll farm. So the framework called Barometer was developed by a team of several former product managers. So now in tech, a product manager is somebody who leads the implementation and design of what you see, like your like the news feed is a product of Facebook. Ad is a product of Facebook. In Google, the Google Chrome is a product. And then you've got products within that, like their plugins and all those things. They're all individual products. These are people who design and lead that part of the process. Well, they're not necessarily lead. They're probably more like junior, middle manager types. But it's a combination of like user experience work, design, working with coders and pulling all of that stuff together, okay? Doing a lot of the measurement of users and all that sort of stuff and making the stuff addictive. The people that make stuff addictive are the product managers. Okay. So they take the engineers build it and the data scientists, pull all of the data together, and then the product managers implement and coordinate that stuff, generally speaking. So this product called Barometer, because of the good guys defending democracy, not a troll farm, was developed by a team of several former product managers, engineers, and data scientists from Facebook, Microsoft, Pew Research Center, Pinterest, and Twitter, who joined our team to have an impact on the 2020 election. Barometer relies on real-world testing, randomized controlled trials, or RCTs, spying, fucking data, measurement, big data, bullshit, randomized controlled trials, fuck off. They appropriate that scientific language to make it sound more legitimate than it is. What they're doing is they're just going into looking at all the analytics without your fucking consent. But that also means A/B testing. So what they'll do is they'll put something out and test it and see your reaction. That's this thing that everyone was upset about with Facebook when they tested everyone's emotions and manipulated everyone's emotions back in 2013. And that's what that was, RCT. So monitoring which audiences saw what ads how often and comparing that against a randomly assigned control group that did not see them. A/B testing based on data, planting shit, creating a story, spreading bullshit, and seeing who gets upset and who clicks and who doesn't. That's what A/B testing is, okay? See the slippery language? Basically the same thing that troll farms do. Here's what it looks like in practice. So they build a persona of fucking woke beard. Dan, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, 32 years old. They go further than that, okay? So they actually look at your behavioral data, your insights and all that sort of stuff. It's not that fucking, the insights are a lot more sophisticated than that. They'll look at your family, your friend network, your sentiment, your overall social score, those things like brand yourself. They'll look at all of those things, reputation scores, all of that stuff, okay? Now, they'll send this and they'll say, do you approve or disapprove of Donald Trump's job performance as president? Take the survey. So they'll do quizzes. You'll see this now, quizzes, and this is why I don't do quizzes and surveys. But you'll see like polls on LinkedIn, all those LinkedIn fuckheads doing those dumb polls. Okay, that's what they're doing, is trying to get your data. So it's like, you could make it hard for them to fucking A/B test, not just give it to them so they can just harvest it. At least make them ask nicely and buy you dinner first before they fuck you. So, but anyway, they send you this survey or a quiz or, anything, okay? They measure everything. And when I say don't be fooled that I don't measure things, this is what I'm talking about, because I do the same thing, but I'm trying to sort of reverse engineer the whole thing and I'm transparent about it. So, and this is the ethical line, which is that there needs to be consent. You need to know that this is occurring. And this is the gap that I was talking about at the beginning, which is that I don't think most people consented to this. They thought that they were turning up, reading the news, playing, hanging with friends. They didn't know, and taking quizzes for the fun of it. Not fucking this shit, okay? And this is why when I found out, you know, I had concerns in 2008 when they were saying, lauding Obama's campaign for like perfecting this model. And with Trump was the natural conclusion. But the fact that they were accusing Trump of doing it when I know that everyone does, and they're calling everyone else a troll farm, accusing Russia of doing it, when I know that this is their main fucking agency that does this. And this is not just the Democrats. This is like all of those foundations, all of those not-for-profits, all of those, like all the dark money does all of this. And that's why you're fucking confused. Because you don't know, because you're just being pulled and nudged in all these directions. You're just sitting there having fun doing BuzzFeed quizzes about which fucking Muppet you think you are and which Muppet your friends are and inviting everyone to do that. And all of a sudden they've got this profile on you and they're pushing you and nudging you in the direction so that, you know, because elections are won on fractions of a percentage in some cases. Okay. They don't need a big swing. When they say nudge the needle, they mean that. They mean get that sort of 1% swing in the favour of their candidate. And the more extreme they go and the more they can radicalise you, the more likely you are to go, first of all, go out and vote. We've got compulsory voting here, so it's different. But you're more likely to go out and vote if you based on negative, like to fight the other guy. So what they'll do is they'll create this content that is like, this guy's a demon, stop this guy, this guy's horrible. That's why you're seeing so much rotten negativity, because they know that people are more likely to go out. This is just voting trends. This is not an internet thing. This is something we know. But again, political scientists know this stuff, which is that voters are more mobilized over, you know, voting out a government or voting someone out or voting against a policy than they are for. Same thing with like reviews, user reviews. They're more motivated to give a bad review than they are positive ones. Okay, that's stuff that we just know to be true. Again, when you know the behavior stuff, this is fucking unethical. People need to know about this. So, you know, they'll say like, so they'll send you a quiz. He is surveyed to establish a baseline on where he stands. But they already know roughly. But what they're doing is this is actually a granular test. So this actually tests whether he's, you know, nudgeable, so to speak. So this is actually misleading because they already have this data. This data they already have because they have CRMs built from the Obama campaign. They have email lists. They have lookalike audiences. They can already... Again, it's what's left out. Unless you're a trained person who knows how this works and that they've already built this behavioral profile of this, okay? They've already built this profile of you in quite a lot of detail because remember, Salesforce CRM has been around now for a very long time, okay? But Salesforce have social CRM. They also own, they had a product. I don't know if it's still a product actually because I haven't seen it around, but it's a product called Radian 6. Back in 2011, Salesforce had a product called Radian 6 where they were basically scraping all of social media, creating a social CRM and building basically a social score about you. And this person, like, you know, who said that you don't have a social score, you fucking do. Okay, they know everything about you. Okay, it's not just Facebook, it's Salesforce, you know, and that was one of the things. There was a thing where a trans rights activist was doxing a bunch of people for a while there and going after them and putting everyone on lists. That was because they worked at Salesforce and they had access to that shit. They just go in and look at you. You can find you. Okay, it's easy to find people. If you're a bad person, good people won't go there, but bad people will. So anyway, So he's surveyed to establish a baseline. So they get the baseline, which is unethical to start with. Okay, it should be, we are, you know, like it needs to be like more disclosure around that. As part of a test group, okay, he has served one of our ads on his Facebook feed. So they just target something outrageous like this. Look, it's always about him. Something that's, you know, slightly more nudgy and polarizing. Yeah, it fucking is. Oh yeah, let me click. Then you're on their track. Okay. So he is served and completes another survey, which we use to see which direction our message moved him. At no point has he consented to this, okay? At no point does he realize that he's going, okay, he's showing it, like he's starting off with something that's a bit stupid, okay? Then they show something a bit more inflammatory to see if they can get away with it, see what his response is. But then they test it. and they ask him, okay? But don't forget, they're not asking. This is what they're lying about. They're tracking the clicks. They're tracking every fucking interaction, because that's what the Facebook pixel and Google pixels and those tracking things do, is they've actually got heat maps. So where you click, where you look. So one thing people don't know is that as you're reading, you tend to move your mouse in line with where you're looking. So on a heat map, if I'm doing this, see how I'm doing that? Well, as I'm reading, I tend to do this. You'll notice that you do too. Probably not on a trackpad, but on a mouse you do. So, and on a phone, they can see that, where your eyeballs are, because it's a small space. They'll know, based on that. They can extrapolate a lot of shit. They've even got emotional recognition now in cameras and phones. This is why Facebook went, no, fuck off. You can't have it. I think that's why they've actually just, I hope that that's what they've done. I hope they've realized that this is a fucking monster. But so he served and completes another survey, which we used to see which direction our message moved him. Okay. Depending on our results, we either amplify our message track or change course. So we just keep serving this shit. Okay? Using this measurement framework. This is why I quit. I went, I can't in good conscience fucking pay for ads anymore. It's unethical and wrong what's being done to people. And I tried for 3 years, to try and sell the no-go zone in this space. I will not do this stuff. I'm ethical. I will tell you when it's harmful, and then, no, don't care. They want the clicks. They want the sales. They don't give a fuck. They want the outcome. And this is the Democrats. These are the good guys. They're not a troll farm. But we'll get to that. So working in 2-week sprints. Oh, hang on. Using this measurement framework, we can identify the most effective message tracks and the most responsive audience segments, making our programs more efficient, more radicalizing, more angry, to get you more amped up so that you end up storming the fucking Capitol. Because they're both doing it. This isn't just the Democrats. I'm focusing on the good guys because these are the good guys. Nah. Okay. You know what I meant. But this is what legitimate social, ethical activists are up against. They're up against this network of fraudulent organizations that are just basically money laundering. And I'm going to show you how all that happens too. Okay. So, working in 2-week sprints. A sprint is a project cycle. Okay. The team runs individual experiments to answer questions around which narratives and messengers are effective at impacting presidential job approval. Which narratives and messengers? So, blue checks, influencers. Who can we get to? Who can we persuade to fucking do this? This is how cynical this is. Okay. This is what I oppose. This is why I had to leave. This is why the second I saw what was actually happening to the industry that I love with everything, I had to go. I had to leave. I couldn't do it anymore. Because it's not what I signed up for and it's not what anyone else did. So you sit there and you go, okay, there's fucking dead bodies everywhere. This is what's happening to everyone. And it's not just the fucking far right. It's not just the Democrats. It's geopolitical. It's fucking anyone who wants to sell you stick-on nails, right up to selling you religion, to recruiting to the cult, to get you to ISIS, to also get you to fucking, nudging you, away from masks or to masks or anti-vax or fucking anti-trans or pro-trans or fucking... So no wonder everyone's lost their fucking head. Because this is what's happening. You're being fucked with. Your emotions at the fucking primal level are being fucked with daily by this stuff. Okay? And this is the fucking benign shit. It's not that benign, but you know what I mean. Okay. These guys think the ends justify the means. They don't do it just because they think they fucking can, which is a whole different kettle of fish. And then you wonder why everyone's lost their fucking minds. This is why. In the year where everyone is captured and stuck online, this is what these so-called fucking good guys, professionals who are my peers, have no fucking moral objection to. Our advertising team, okay. So, working in 2-week sprints, the team runs individual experiments to answer questions around which narratives and messengers are effective at impacting presidential job approval, voter enthusiasm, and in some cases 2020 vote choice. That means we pay people, we research them, we dig up dirt on them, and we get them to fucking persuade others to vote in a certain way. That's so cynical. Our advertising team is also gaining critical tactical insights, A/B testing daily, looking at the numbers, nudging you, and figuring out ways that they can reach you in fucking every vulnerable angle you've got, every blind spot you've got. That's what they mean by tactical insights. Feed you whatever bullshit it takes to get that fucking 1% at all costs. These guys get millions of dollars in contracts. I get fuck all. Critical tactical insights on how to better use platforms like Facebook and optimize ad delivery. Acronym, another acronym is what they call themselves, and they service all of those acronym foundations. BLM, all those fucking things. Okay. Acronym and Pacronym have run experiments on numerous issues, so they've already got the data. They have a big database already. See what I said before about how, they just build a profile and ask him if he wants to take a quiz. No. For those they already have data on, they're serving them more shit that's radical already and making them more fucking radicalized. Acronym and Pacronym have run experiments on numerous issues from impeachment to coronavirus and have gained significant learnings. That means spying on you, gathering that data and insights into you, behavioral profile on you to manipulate you at the ballot box. Both positive and negative, to benefit our program works. This place won't. And this is the stuff that they make public. This is not the hidden shit. This is on their public website and blog. This isn't even the dark stuff. And I'll tell you how that's fucking going down. Here's what some of Pacronym has learned so far. Audiences with lower levels of political knowledge are consistently more responsive to an array of messaging strategies despite being more difficult to reach. Featuring conservative messengers like Tucker Carlson in ads criticising Trump is an effective tactic to weaken the president's approval, particularly among voters 55 and older. Promoting news articles on Facebook to audiences with lower levels of political knowledge can be as effective as delivering fully produced ad spots. Except they know they're watching ads. Measuring voter, this fucking, it gets me so mad. This is why it's just like, I've avoided this because it's just, measuring vote, because they all do it. Everyone does it. And that's the thing that they leave out. When they talk about getting a troll farm in Nicaragua, right? Because they found some fucking random thing, or Russiagate, or all that fucking... This is what they're doing. They're lying and leaving this bit out. There's the other guys that are doing it. Trump did it. Obama did that. Trump did that. Biden's laptop. Trump did that. Google, Facebook. It's all their fault. No, you're all using this. There's 2 executives from Salesforce on Twitter's board. All the tech companies have the same fucking people on the boards. And they're all sharing this shit. And they're fucking lying when they say they don't. I hope Facebook with their facial recognition have said, nah, we're not fucking doing that. I hope that's the case. And I hope they manage to contain that data. I would hope that they're seeing sense. Measuring voter persuasion is really, really difficult. Invading people's most intimate thoughts and feelings is really, really unethical. And really difficult for a reason, because you shouldn't be doing it. Our teams aren't looking for a silver bullet or one magic message. Oh, well, that's good then. Why don't you fucking feed them 150 of them so that people think the world's ending? How about that? That would... See, one thing that I know as a marketer, I know how many of these things are being fed to people, because I also know that it's common wisdom is that you will see, in order to get you from like first exposure to an ad to buy online, it takes about 70 to 80 exposures to one piece of news or content. So an individual person who's vulnerable in COVID, and you're let's say you're an anti-vax company or you're pro-vax, or you know how you're seeing this shit. All these political forces who are doing this exact thing, they're all doing it. It's the same thing. It's the model that's to blame. They're all doing it. Everyone from Big Pharma with puberty blockers and fucking trans shit, and turning communities around. They've already done, they did that on a Facebook group that I'm on today. They're showing these fucking stupid memes to start trans fucking debates. And it's obvious what they're doing because I know the tactics. But most people don't. They react to it. They take the bait and they go for it. And then they get profiled as anti-trans or pro-trans. And then you're on the list. And then they target more and more radicalizing news articles and shit for you. It's not even necessarily Facebook. I think Facebook are trying, but these guys are just buying the ads to target you. They're circumventing the news feed and anything that's organic anyway. And they're hiring former Facebook product people to do the fucking thing. Our teams, and by our teams, they mean the troll farms that they all outsource to in the third world that they then accuse of doing troll farm shit. They're all the same. They're all offshored. And they're the same. You've got fucking offshore troll farms and offshore virtual assistants and offshore fucking Fivers and all this shit. You've got these networks of offshore places like in the Philippines, of like multi-story places where they've just got computer after computer after computer and thousands of phones, and they're serving fucking 8 different businesses and agencies, and they've got those at fucking scale. So the troll farms are actually sitting there, and then they go, oh no, what they will do is you at will, they will just like go, well, that's a troll farm that did that. It's like, well, are you a customer too? No one talks about that. No one talks about who their agencies are, because what they do is they hire these fucks as a private proprietary limited company who then don't get audited and aren't subjected to audit. Like, one thing I would say is that if you are a service provider for a political campaign, that you subject yourself to a fucking audit. There's a reform. They won't do it. They won't do it. This is so corrupt. But it's also where you put the dark money, because what you do is you have, these guys would have maybe, 30, 40, 50 different organizations on their books. And what they do is they all have, they set up all these fucking organizations that take donations and solicit donations that are not the PACs and not the party and not the politician, or not even a 501, they have all these 501c4s and shit with all these acronyms. Yet another acronym, everybody. How fucking plain sight is this shit, okay? And they solicit donations from dark money, and what they do is they pull it because they've got all these accounts, and then what they do is they create these cats against Trump I've talked about before, and the ones that are below scrutiny, they're 5,000 people in a community, and they just throw $500 a month at 1,000 of these fucking pages, and they run ads on all of them, and this is what and then they measure all of it. That's how you launder dark money. And that's how Big Pharma have done this. That's how they fucking nudge people. So, And, that's just one example. Everyone's doing it. But this is what's happening. This is why everyone's losing their fucking head. So, apparently measuring voter persuasion is really difficult. Well, the Obama campaign in 2008, see again, this is not like, oh, it's 2020 election, brand new. No, what they do is they take all the people they successfully nudged in 2008 and retarget them. And then what they do is they actually brag in the mainstream media about having assigned a persuasion score as early as 2008 to individual people, okay? And then they take that persuasion score and they keep updating it. And they keep building that profile and building that profile and then serving you more and more extreme fucking content. And then your friend, you wonder how suddenly they've got blue hair and suddenly they've got fucking stripy socks and clogs and shit. This is how lookalike audiences. Because they fit a profile and those lists are everywhere for sale. If you like this, you're more likely to like this. If you like this, you're more likely to like this. If you follow this person, you're more likely to follow that person. And then they will serve hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of ads and pieces of content at every touch point that you go on that has any kind of, even if it's not even paid ads, it's just branded content in the paper. That's what they've admitted to here. News, Facebook groups, Tumblr groups, fucking anywhere, forums, Twitter, bots, and you just nudged. Okay, so so they can get that 1% swing. Our teams aren't looking for a silver bullet or one magic message that will change the future of the election. Instead, we're attempting to make use of the best scientific tools available. Aside from research ethics, which is the most important fucking thing. If you were doing this legitimately in science, you'd be subjected to an ethics board. Why is the digital industry still allowed to do this unethical shit? You think that fucking, I lost my head. The electric shock guy. Think the fucking scaring babies and electric shocks is unethical. What about this? Combined with a heavy dose of automation. So it's not even, and rapid iteration. Rapid iteration means changing it. If it doesn't work, do something else. If it doesn't work, do something else. Create something new. New shit, new shit, new shit. More outrageous shit till they get you on the hook. To maximise our impact with key audiences in 2020. So far, our results have been significant and show our campaign is actively reducing Trump support in key states. Well, that's the main thing. Wouldn't want to steal the election or anything. That would be unethical. Across our entire persuasion advertising programs, we have implemented a global holdout or control group that has not received any of Pacronym's advertising. The result? Being experimented on. Human experiments. This is Nazi science on steroids. Held to no ethical standards whatsoever. So, people who saw our ads over the past 2 months have 3.6% lower approval of Donald Trump. We're shocked. Yeah, of course they do. And those that don't get nudged are being served your most egregious and outrageous and most manipulative content, and they're doubling down in the other fucking direction. Do you see why these people on the right now think that they're being persecuted as well? Because they're seeing the shit that you're feeding people. You're fucking assholes. This is unethical, and this is why I quit tech. Moving forward, we plan to share results from both acronyms and Pacronym's Barometer experiments, all the fucking euphemisms for what is basically fucking lobotomies, updated. So unethical. But the troll farms, Russia. Biden's laptop has stuff in it. The other guy's doing dodgy shit. You're all doing it. Don't worry. In future videos, I'll be going after the right wingers too, right? This is legitimate. This is not even a fucking, I'll show you the dodgy shit. I'll show you some of the, this is not even the offshore dodgy fucking troll farm buy followers things. This is the main agency that developed the app and the CRM, and they work with ActBlue and WinRed. Same company, same CRM, exact same technology, same fucking data. Big pool in the sky, everybody. Oh, you don't have a social score. Why would you have a social score? We're free. Don't be naive. Fucking hell. I'd rather the government have a social score than these fucks. At least the data, they can use it for fucking hospital data. I'd prefer they didn't at all, but I'm just saying. We plan to share results on a regular basis with progressive partners. All of those groups that I've talked about in the past, those 501c3s and 501c4s who basically solicit donations that they then launder through these agencies who have multiple agencies on their portfolio that they then buy Facebook ads and do fucking unethical experiments on people and have people storming the fucking Capitol and on the streets and not wearing masks and refusing vaccinations and losing their fucking minds. Children fucking taking knives to teachers, school shootings, fucking all this shit. So we share it with our progressive partners. They mean those organisations, front groups, and hope that what we learn can benefit other programs and campaigns in the fight against Trump and his policies. Why would you say that we stole the election? That sounds like semantics to me. And I'm not saying, again, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. This is acronym. It's all there. It's public. It's their official website. Look, they're a legit agency. I'm not showing you anything dodgy. Look, their playbook. I've showed you that before. Look, that's just one blog post. And everyone saw that and went, hey, I don't think this is very ethical, guys. I think this should be illegal. Look, welcome to acronym. Look at the buzzwords, man. This is my industry and this is why I quit. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you the dodgy one. Data cards. This is just boring old list selling. Okay. But again, this is the stuff that's publicly available. Not the shit that shows that you're a TERF, you hate this, you don't like this, you argue about this, you spend X number of hours on there. You've got a full fucking data dump, lists of people, segments, and they sell per fucking lead. Okay, this is at least a little honourable because it's honest. They're just selling you a list. But these are the key demographics, but these are like, this is just, look. We've assembled the largest and most comprehensive consumer database in existence and amalgamated that with former voter information and donor data. How much they give. Money. To create a powerful tool for political campaigns. Our data technicians can target specific individuals through multiple platforms, including email, social media, postal, video ads, display ads, and more. Influencer marketing is a technique we've developed. Fucking Americans. No, it's a technique that everyone fucking knows about. It's not yours. You don't own it. Fuck, I like to call it influencer marketing. That's what everyone calls it. Stop. I have a term. I like to call it this. That's called capitalism. We like to call it corporatism. No, it's just capitalism, fuckhead. Dickheads. Oh, fucking all the words. Fucking with words. Stop. Make it stop. Anyway, I'll do my roots. Okay. Influencer marketing is a technique we've developed to a level where it is outperforming other digital inducement approaches and returning ROIs up to 11 times what was previously acceptable. We work with candidates and causes on a local, state and federal level, and each campaign is customised according to your goals and your budget. We help each client develop a unique strategy. Our results are outstanding. Let's have a conversation about your goals and start writing a victory speech for this November. Registered voters and donors list. Here you go. Look, segments. These are just lists for sale. And this is the stuff they advertise. I'll tell you now, there's dark shit. This is the stuff they advertise publicly when I Googled. This is first page of Google stuff, not the dark shit. Retired veterans. Abandoned Republicans. Undecided Democrats. Active Democrats. And that's just the shit that they show you. That's the public stuff. Right? I'm just saying. Oh yeah, that troll farm that we pay probably. Okay, now there's PR companies that do the same thing. Anyway, I'm going to go over an hour. You want to know why I quit? Until this stops, I'm not doing it. I can't be part of it. I'm not going to be part of this race to the bottom. I won't. And I tried to do, the ethical thing and sell those services, and people don't want them until we address this model and this approach and this tech and the people working in it. And this is why you shouldn't trust these leaders in the culture wars, because there's a large portion of them that are taking money as influencers as part of an influencer campaign, and they won't disclose it. They won't declare it. I will always declare when I've taken money from anybody. Okay? Thank you to my patrons, by the way. But also, I'm honest about the fact that, I can't be bought, which is why I'm fucking poor. Not poor, but I'm just saying. I've had to quit. I had to quit the industry because I have to talk about this industry honestly with no conflict. And I'm fucked. I don't have a career now because I can't fucking be part of this thing. I didn't sign up for this. I signed up to help fucking people connect and be fans and have fun and build businesses and freelance and design and create art and music and share love. And 25 years later, there's fucking dead bodies everywhere. And I'm on top of them. There's a fucking mass grave and I'm standing on it. And I can't do any more, figuratively speaking, for now. But people need to the only solution that I've got is to expose this stuff and talk about this stuff as much as I can. But this is just one part of it. Anyway, that's it. On a downer. Great. Crack the shits. This stuff gets me mad, by the way. Gets me really angry. Because the worst people are working in this business. And those who wanted to do good are being, like myself, are just being shoved out. No, I opposed this from the beginning. I opposed this shit from the beginning. And now I've just been proven right. So I'm just going to have to focus on more of the tech stuff. Hopefully it was interesting for you. Hopefully it was delivered in a fashion that was appropriate. I don't care, whatever. Everyone, I'm not going to do it in 10 minutes. You can't edit. This is complicated. And also, fuck off. I'm not playing the model. I'm not doing it your way because I know how this works. You do it my way. Trust me, and I will fucking do right by you. Anyway, I'm going to go. I'm trying to do my website because I'm going to be on Walk-ins Welcome soon. So it's like, shit, I've got to get my shit together. Yeah, stuff to think about. I love you. Feel free to fucking support my work because this is what I'm up against. This is what I had to quit my career to do, and this is what I'm up against. Nobody is talking about this stuff in the level of detail that I am. Because the only people that know what I'm doing the only people who know in detail how it works seemingly are working in it and have no fucking ethics or conscience. And again, I don't think it's not Facebook. The Facebook whistleblower is one of those bullshit distractions for fucking other things, which is the fact that the Democrats leading digital agency. They serve other fucking social justice organizations. They call themselves another acronym. It's just like, what is wrong with these people? But they also use troll farms. They buy Twitter followers. They use the same fucking agencies, and I know they do because I know how it works. Our team is an offshore team that also serves Walmart and fucking Uber and all of those other companies that might want to, let's say, protest, I don't know, unions, regulations, anything they want. They just put a fucking bot farm on it. Same agencies. It's fucking sick. Anyway, I'm doing what I can do. That's all I can do. I love you. I'll try to be a bit more positive. It's a bit hard though, because it just actually, I loved my job. I love what I did. This isn't what I fucking signed up for. This was not the deal. This is not the deal that users signed up for. This is not the deal that anyone consents to. And if I see one whiff of this shit in our elections, that's it. Not that anyone will fucking listen anyway. But I'm going to show it if it is. I'll be talking about it and loudly. Because people are not consenting to this. You're hiding this shit behind fucking vague terms of service. It's unethical. You have a duty of care to users. You are doing them harm. You are doing them emotional and, potentially physical harm. So you have no business talking about anybody else inciting or doing harm while you're doing this stuff. Clean house. Democrats, Republicans, Australian Labor Party, the Greens, SNP, Lib Dems, Labor, Conservative Party, corporations, fucking organisations. You're all doing it. Fucking quit. It's unethical. Where the fuck are amnesty? Oh, sorry. Too busy fucking targeting fucking TERFs and shit because they're bought and sold too. Because they're influential. You see how I think that the TERF shit's fucking minor compared to this? It's all just, I see it as just another fucking campaign and thousands of others that are scrambling people's brains and preventing us from having a real conversation about what it means to be in a fucking society and coexist. It's bullshit. Anyway, I look forward to being fucking murdered, deplatformed for saying the truth as usual. Oh well, whatever. Who gives a shit? I'd rather fucking be honest. Anyway, I'm going to go. I love you. Hang on. Do I have my button work? Did I fix my buttons? Okay, I love you. Bye. Hang on. Fuck! How many times can you say bye? Bye.